Today, we're diving into a really powerful and honestly, a kind of surprising take on the final judgment. It all comes from a talk by Elder David A. Bednar, and it might just change how you think about the whole thing.
Okay, so let's jump right into the central puzzle here. When you hear the words Judgment Day, what's the first image that pops into your head? Because if you look at the scriptures, it's like we get two totally opposite pictures. On one hand, you hear words like shame, awful guilt, dread, endless misery, yikes. But then you have prophets like Moroni calling it a pleasing and even a glorious day.
So what gives? How can both of these things possibly be true? How can one single event be a source of absolute terror for some people and, well, joyful anticipation for others? Let's see if we can solve this puzzle together. So, our very first clue in solving this mystery is a concept we're all familiar with: moral agency. This idea is absolutely foundational if we're going to understand our own role in our final judgment.
Now, moral agency, it's so much more than just having the freedom to choose between option A and option B. It's really about the power to act, to proactively go out and pursue what's good, what's honest, what's virtuous. It's a positive, creative force.
And when you boil it all down, there are two fundamental things we're supposed to do with this power: love other people and choose to follow God. That's it. Those are the two big guiding principles for how we use our agency.
And here's why this is so important. This agency makes us agents to act. We are beings with the power of independent action. This is the complete opposite of just being objects to be acted upon, puppets, with no real choice, which is exactly what Lucifer wanted for all of us. Our ability to act is what allows us to carve out our own spiritual destiny.
Okay, so if our first clue, moral agency, is all about our power to act, our second clue is about what those actions actually do to us over time. This is where we shift our focus from just what we've done to who we have ultimately become.
And this quote from President Dallin H. Oaks just hits the nail on the head. He says the final judgment isn't some cosmic spreadsheet tallying up our good deeds and bad deeds. No, it's an acknowledgement, a revelation really, of the person we have become through all of our choices, our thoughts and our actions. So think of it this way. It's less like a final exam where you're just graded on your answers, and it's much more like standing in front of a perfectly clear mirror that reflects not just what you did, but the character you built. Agency is the tool, right? And our character, our very nature, is the final product. But okay, this brings up a really critical question. If judgment is all about who we've become, what happens when we've messed up? What if the person we are right now isn't the person we truly want to be? And that brings us to our third and final clue, the atonement of Jesus Christ. This part is just so important to get. Our own efforts, as good as they might be, are never going to be enough. The scriptures are clear. Even after all we can do, it's only through the mercy and grace that comes from Jesus Christ that we can be saved. The atonement is the absolute game changer. It's what makes real change possible. It gives us redemption, it gives us the power to be truly born again, and it paves the way for that joyful reunion with God. It allows the person we have become to be transformed into the person we can become.
All right, so we've got our three clues laid out: our power to act through agency, the fact that our actions shape who we become, and the amazing, transformative power of the atonement. Now, let's see how they all click together to solve this whole paradox of the final judgment.
So first, we kind of have to redefine the word fear. There's worldly fear, right? The kind that causes anxiety, alarm, that pit in your stomach. But then there's something called godly fear. And this isn't about being scared of God. It's about having a deep, profound reverence and respect for Him and His laws. And that kind of fear, believe it or not, actually brings peace and confidence. It's what prepares us for what Moroni called a pleasing judgment. Which brings us all the way back to that image of a courtroom. If we've used our agency and we've become a certain kind of person, and hopefully we've relied on the atonement, who actually sits in the judge's chair and delivers the final verdict?
And here it is, the core idea from Elder Bednar. The answer is, we are. Ultimately, we are our own judges. This is where all three clues lead. Because we have agency, because we are responsible for what we become, in the end, we're the ones who will see it with absolute clarity.
So this isn't going to be some passive sentencing where a verdict is read to us. It's an active moment of perfect self-awareness. There are no surprises, no gotcha moments. We will see ourselves with total clarity, with a bright recollection of every choice, and we will know deep in our bones exactly who we have become.
And because of that, we will honestly understand exactly where we fit, where we belong.
This connects so perfectly to what the prophet Alma taught about restoration. His whole point was that whatever we put out into the universe, justice, righteousness, mercy, goodness, is what is ultimately restored to us, becoming part of our very nature. We literally become what we consistently choose. Our final state is just a restoration of our own desires and actions.
So, the real takeaway here isn't about dreading some far-off event. It's about focusing on right now, on today. It completely shifts the paradigm. The ultimate question, then, isn't what's going to happen to you on Judgment Day. The question is, what are you doing with your moral agency today? If the final judgment is just an acknowledgement of who we've become, well, who are you choosing to become right now?